You ever seen a friendship so pure, so unexpected, that it just makes you stop and think, how does something like this even happen? Well, let me tell you about Murphy, a big, gentle dog, and Chippy, a tiny squirrel, and how their bond became something truly special. It's the kind of story that makes you believe in unexpected friendships, the ones that sneak up on you when you least expect them. It all started in a quiet suburban backyard. You know the kind: big tree, a little fence, a nice open space where the sun hits just right. That was Murphy's world. A laid-back, easygoing dog who loved nothing more than lying in the grass and watching the world go by. And then there was Chippy. At first, she was just another squirrel. You've seen them before: fast, skittish, always darting around like they've got a million things to do. Chippy was no different. She kept her distance, eyeing Murphy from the safety of a tree branch, probably thinking, is this dog friend or foe? But Murphy, he wasn't interested in chasing squirrels. He was just curious, maybe even a little lonely. Days passed, then weeks, and little by little, something changed. Chippy started getting closer. Not too close, just enough to see what this big, quiet dog was all about. And Murphy, he didn't move. He just sat there waiting, almost like he knew this tiny little creature just needed time to feel safe. And then one day it happened. Chippy got brave enough to come all the way down. Close enough that Murphy could see her little twitching nose. Close enough that he could hear her tiny paws scurry across the ground. And just like that, a routine started. Every day Chippy would show up, and Murphy would be right there waiting. It became their thing, like clockwork. But Murphy didn't just sit there. He started bringing her things: a stick, a leaf, his favorite chew toy. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a dog try to give a squirrel a toy before, but it's probably the funniest and sweetest thing you'll ever see. And the wildest part, Chippy actually started taking them. Now, she wasn't exactly playing fetch or anything, but she'd grab whatever Murphy offered, inspect it, and then stash it away like it was some kind of treasure. And if that isn't the cutest thing ever, I don't know what is. For weeks this went on. Every day, Murphy and Chippy, their own little world. But then, one day, everything changed. Chippy didn't show up. Murphy waited, first by the tree, then by the window, just staring out, like he was expecting her to come racing down the branch any second now. But she never did. A day passed, then another, then a week. Murphy still waited. Have you ever seen a dog miss someone? Not just be sad, but really miss someone? It's heartbreaking. He didn't bring his little gifts anymore. He didn't run to the yard like he used to. It was like part of his world had just gone silent. And just when it started to feel like maybe she was never coming back, something happened. After weeks of waiting, Chippy finally showed up. And when I tell you Murphy lost it, I mean he lost it. His tail wagged so hard he nearly knocked himself over. He ran circles around her, whining, barking, completely overjoyed. But Chippy, she wasn't the same. She looked tired, different. And that's when it hit. She hadn't just been gone, she'd been busy. Chippy had babies. And now everything made sense. The absence, the change, the exhaustion in her tiny little body. She had been out there, bringing new life into the world. And then she did something that no one expected. She introduced Murphy to her babies. One by one, they peeked out from the branches, tiny, curious little faces looking down at this big, gentle giant of a dog. But there was one baby that stood out. A tiny squirrel, smaller than the rest, with no tail. Murphy was drawn to him immediately, maybe because he was different, maybe because he was the smallest, the most vulnerable, or maybe just because he reminded Murphy of himself, a little lonely, looking for a friend. Chippy's baby, the one with no tail, became known as Peanut. And just like that, the cycle started all over again. Murphy and Peanut became inseparable. If Chippy and Murphy's friendship had been something special, this was something more. This was deeper. Every day, Peanut would climb down, and Murphy would be there, waiting like he'd done with Chippy all those months before. But this time, there was something new. A picnic table. Yep. Someone, maybe Murphy's owner, maybe the universe itself, decided to make their little hangout official. A tiny wooden picnic table, right there in the yard, just big enough for a squirrel-sized meal. And let me tell you, the first time Peanut saw it, he was thrilled. From that day forward, the table became their spot. Every morning, Murphy would head out, sit by the table and wait, and every morning, without fail, Peanut would show up. Some days there would be snacks, other days just company. But every day there was friendship. And that's what this story is about. It's about how love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. How friendships can form in the most unlikely places, and how sometimes the bonds we build, whether they're with people, animals, or even a tiny squirrel, can change our lives in ways we never saw coming. Murphy and Peanut didn't just find a friend. They found family. And if that isn't proof that love knows no boundaries, I don't know what is. So let me ask you, have you ever had a friendship like this? One that came out of nowhere but ended up meaning everything? If you have, or if this story made you feel anything, hope, joy, even just a little warmth in your heart, do me a favor. Share it. Because you never know, maybe somewhere out there, someone needs to hear this. Maybe they need a little reminder that love can show up in the strangest places, even at a tiny picnic table in the backyard.